Again, we got a lot of different topics here today, so we'll just toss it over to Ryan. Ryan, take it away. What's the news?
Well, I'm trying to work on this Donovan Phillip thing. It's hard to make a graphic
Oh,
while you're
okay.
trying to do a show at the same time. So
That's fair.
let's talk about Man United. You're the one that I looked at the sheet today and I go, in the title race. What are you talking about? So if you're the one that wanted to talk about it, go ahead, talk about it. Sure, they beat Arsenal yesterday, but
All right.
if you watch the game and no ball, United's not in the title race.
Well, here. This is all they'll say about this. And you mentioned that it's a catchy headline and it caught you and it got you to click on it. ESPN, like anybody else, is not immune to doing that. They're not immune to clickbait. They're not immune to catchy headlines that get you to click on it. But here's what I'll say about all this, right? United's victory moved them into fourth place, right? 12 points behind um the faltering league leaders, 8 behind Man City and Aston Villa, in second and in third place respectively for those two teams, 1 ahead of Chelsea and 2 of Liverpool. But I don't think anybody really necessarily expects them to be in the race, genuinely in the race. But the one thing you can't deny is that they are in the mix with that win over Arsenal. And you had brought up earlier that the way in which they played, the style in which they played, the mode in which they went about winning that game against Aston Villa was not pretty. It was actually everything far from pretty. And they're obviously going through a managerial change, something that you and I have talked in length about as to who the next is going to be. So is it ridiculous? It is a ridiculous prospect to consider that United were in turmoil less than a month ago following the dismissal of their manager and just 14 months in charge. But the shortcomings of the top three have kind of opened the door for anything. My question isn't necessarily is Man United capable of doing this, but if they can keep their form as of late, it doesn't seem like it seems like there's kind of a log jam at the top of the Premier League. Like who would be your favorite if the season were to end today to go win? Like that's my question. Like, is there a far and away number one right now? It just seems like chaos at the top of the table.
Well, if Arsenal decided to lock in, they would 100% be at the top of the table. But this is all I got to say in the whole matter. If Manchester United is in a title race, the Detroit Lions are in the Super Bowl this year. United's not in a title race, and if you actually go back and watch the game yesterday, that's not going to carry over from game to game. It's not the style of which they did. Arsenal gifted them a goal, and Dorgu and Cunha scored two of the most or two of the best goals you'll see all year. There's no and to beat Raya from that range and to place it so well, they're gonna win the game. Or you could also argue Arsenal didn't take it to them. Arsenal didn't play well. No, Arsenal didn't play well. They couldn't connect the pass to save their lives. But the thing is, if you look at the Arsenal and the Man City game, the way that the game has unfolded, it's not sustainable. You can't continue to play that way and expect to be in a title race. And it's not a knock at United. They're better than what the previous years were. They have better players. It's also when you spend billions and billions of pounds, that's right, billions, you should expect to be a little bit better, United. But all I'll say is you're there in the middle of a new manager bump. Michael Carrick, for some reason, in the 5 games he's ever managed for Manchester United over the course of like 5 years, he's like undefeated and has beaten some of the top teams. I don't understand how he does it, but they're in the middle of a new manager bump. I would say it like this. The Detroit Red Wings last year, when they finally got Todd McClellan and they started winning some games after Lalone got fired, that's exactly what United is, and they're in the middle of their new manager bump at the moment. Could they finish top four? Yes, they could 100% finish top four. But to say they're in a title race, well, whoever wrote that article, very good job to you because you got a lot of people, and like my dear friend Nate Wingler, to click on it and to actually think that United is actually in a title race and to get someone like me to talk about it because United, as we all know, is not really in a title race. They are just not in a sustainable way to win games like this. And then we'll all know that they'll sack their manager in December of next year or of this year because they didn't get it done, and then they'll get a new manager bump again. It's just how the cycle continues to work since Sir Alex Ferguson left.
Yeah, I mean, it is a vicious cycle. I won't say okay, maybe I'll take back the contender part. Maybe you're right. That's just a catchy headline to get people to click on it. But what you can admit is that it's been a surprise how they've been playing. It's kind of been a little bit of a shock. I
No,
would figure a
it's
team that
not
was
been a
in disarray
surprise. They're not
that they're
playing
winning.
well. They're not
No,
playing well. Like the way that they're playing is not the way of a contender plays. It is not. Look, I'll say this: if Arsenal goes on to win the league this year, people will. I already know what the headlines are going to be. It's going to be this is the weakest champion of all time because City's not consistent. Villa's towards the top. Liverpool, who spent 500 million plus, they're horrible. Chelsea, very inconsistent. They just fired their manager when they were in like second place, which again,
yeah.
Chelsea's gonna Chelsea. But this is a year where a team like Manchester United, based on the way that they play, based on how everyone else is playing, this is a year where they could get into the fourth or third place. But there's something to be said about an empty calorie season. Like if you look at Michigan football this year, empty calorie season. Their best win was Nebraska, maybe Nebraska or
Probably.
Washington,
Yeah,
and those two teams weren't very
yeah.
good. I'd say Washington's probably the best win. But you could look at Indiana the year prior. That's an empty calorie season. They didn't beat anybody with a pulse, and they got blown out by every team. Michigan this year, blown out by USC, blown out by Oklahoma, blown out by Ohio State. You could say some of the games were close, but no, it's an empty calorie season. And I think the way that Manchester United will finish out the season ultimately, it's going to be an empty calorie season. Yes, they beat Manchester City at Old Trafford. Yes, they beat Arsenal at the Emirates. But there's nothing to show for it. They've already been knocked out of the FA Cup. They got knocked out by Grimsby Town. They're not in Europe, and they're not going to win a Premier League title. They finished top four, sure. We could say it's a good season for where they were. But it's just going to be an empty calorie season, and what's going to happen is, sorry if I continue to rant about this, but again,
No, you're good.
what's going to continue to happen here is all of a sudden there's going to be a new influx of money. They're going to buy a whole bunch of players that flop. They're going to have a new manager. They're going to have high expectations, and the manager gets sacked in December. And then we do this, and then we're back at square one, which we are right now, currently on January 26th of 2026. So what's just
Yeah.
going to happen?
Well,
It's just a cycle.
and leaving the fantasy of them potentially doing something that, again, to you is just seems inconceivable, which I understand exactly where you're coming from. The next question on my mind is, and you had mentioned it, and I guess we just kind of passed it off as just is what it is. For some reason, he just finds a way to do it.